talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. I am super excited for today's episode of Keek on the Mic, as I'll be giving you guys my Chicago Bears mock draft 3.0, and we are getting extremely close to this year's NFL draft. And like I mention all the time, this will be Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus's very first NFL draft as a duo. And like always, as I go through my mock draft, feel free to comment down below in the comment section and let me know who you guys would draft in these certain spots. Would you trade up? Would you trade down? Just let me know down below in the comment section. So as I have it noted down right here, the Bears' needs are wide receiver, offensive line, cornerback, linebacker, and safety. You can even throw in defensive line as well. And these are not in any particular order. These are just some of the Chicago Bears' needs going into the NFL draft. And how I did my mock draft 3.0, I kind of looked at who they signed in the first wave of free agency. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more signings, and that can affect a lot of people's mock drafts. But as it stands, the picks and the moves that I made in mock draft 3.0 definitely cater to what Ryan Poles has done so far in free agency. So here we go. Let's begin. And going into round two, with the first selection, we have two picks, obviously, in round two. And the big discussion going on right now is, will the Chicago Bears trade up for a wide receiver like Chris Olave? Will they trade down? Or will they stay put? As I have it right here in my mock draft 3.0, I have the Chicago Bears trading back, sending pick 39 to the Browns, and us receiving pick 44 and pick 99 in round three. I think that would be the smartest move for Ryan Poles, trading back, getting an extra third, and being able to get yet another top 100 player in this NFL draft to hopefully come in and contribute right away to the Chicago Bears football team. So we traded back with that first pick, and now round two, pick 44, I'm running to the podium and selecting wide receiver Christian Watson out of North Dakota State, which he has definitely grown on me. I know if you guys kept up with Keek on the Mic, I have been very adamant about David Bell out of Purdue, but now all my focus is on Christian Watson, and I think a lot of it has to do with him being 6'5", 208 pounds, and this dude can absolutely fly. He's a very good athlete with good speed, agility, and excellent body control, and this is a guy that will bring a different type of dynamic to the Chicago Bears offense. He's extremely tough to cover, and let me tell you, he would contribute right away to the Chicago Bears offense because you can use him in different ways. You can put him in reverses. He can go deep. He could do everything that you want in a receiver, and the dude is 6'5". So I feel like Christian Watson will still be there at pick 44. And by us trading back, not only trading back and getting a guy like Christian Watson and adding a third-round pick, I think that would be a huge win for Ryan Poles to start the NFL draft. Going to my second pick in the second round, obviously from the Khalil Mack trade, I decided to trade back again in order to get more draft capital. So I trade my number 48 pick to the San Francisco 49ers, and we received pick 61 in round 2, pick 93 in round 3, and pick 134 in round 4. So once again, we add another third-round pick, and we get a fourth-round pick back, which is huge, especially for a team that's looking to add draft capital and build through the NFL draft like Ryan Poles is aiming to do. So with pick number 61 in round 2, I have the Chicago Bears selecting tackle Abraham Lucas out of Washington State. He is 6'7", 319 pounds. Lucas is physical and an aggressive player with good strength and the athletic ability to get to the second level, which that is what Ryan Poles wants in his offensive lineman, that nasty edge, and also being athletic and being able to get to the second level. He plays with a good, nasty competitive toughness, which is what I really like about Abraham Lucas, and has really, really good hands. And he offers great versatility and his ability to play either right tackle or left tackle. Obviously, by me drafting a tackle in the second round, the hope is for him to play left tackle. I'm not saying right away. The Bears can still go get a very cheap option like an Eric Fisher in free agency and let Abraham Lucas kind of grow into that left tackle we want him to be. And then as soon as next year, you throw Abraham Lucas in there as your starting left tackle for hopefully years to come. So now we are moving to round 3, and by me trading back with both of those second-round picks, I added 2 third-round picks, which gives us 3 total third-round picks in my Chicago Bears mock draft 3.0. And with pick number 71 in round 3, I have the Chicago Bears selecting cornerback Martin Emerson from Mississippi State. He is 6'2", 200 pounds, and Emerson is a very athletic player who uses his length to his advantage. He plays with good vision and reacts quickly to what he sees and doesn't shy away from contact. He does well playing both zone and man coverage. He also does an excellent job attacking the ball and playing through wide receivers' hands. Obviously, the Bears have a desperate need at cornerback, and as it stands right now, Ryan Poles hasn't really addressed the cornerback situation for the Chicago Bears. Obviously, we have Jalen Johnson. You have a guy like Thomas Graham Jr., which can play pivotal coming into this next season. Maybe he will be a starter. But other than that, you have Kendall Vildor and Duke Shelley. So obviously, we need to address the cornerback room in either these next couple of waves of free agency or the NFL draft. And I recommend that Ryan Poles should do both. So getting a guy like Martin Emerson, being the size that he is at 6'2", so he has that physical capability, and he's just an athletic guy, and I think you just bring him in, add competition to that cornerback room because the Chicago Bears desperately need it. So moving on with my next pick in round 3, pick 93, I have the Chicago Bears selecting linebacker JoJo DeMan out of Nebraska. He stands at 6'1", 230 pounds, and DeMan is a very intriguing player as he is incredibly versatile. You know, when you watch him, watch tape on him at Nebraska, this is the athletic guy who can play linebacker, he can play safety, or even when he was at Nebraska, they put him as a slot cornerback. So obviously he's a smaller linebacker, but he would fit perfectly in that 4-3 Chicago Bears defense that Eberflus is bringing to Chicago, and you could put Doman at that Sam linebacker spot. Something that I really like about this guy is that he has the capability to cover a lot of tight ends, athletic ones that block. He has the ability to cover those big tight ends, which is pretty impressive to me. And when you have a guy that's so versatile that can play in these different spots, I think that adds an intriguing aspect on what he can contribute to the Chicago Bears defense. Another thing that I really like about this guy that he can track plays from the sideline to sideline as well as drop back and coverage. Like I just mentioned, he's able to cover that tight end position, which I feel like would be a much added boost to this Chicago Bears defense. So moving on to my next pick in round 3, pick number 99, out of the Chicago Bears selecting safety Brian Cook out of Cincinnati. He stands at 6'1", 210 pounds, and this guy is a reliable, aggressive, and a physical tone setter to a defense. He showed it at Cincinnati. Kirk is a very versatile player as well, as he lined up as a deep safety in the box and also in the slot. So obviously, we've been talking for the last couple of weeks, or last couple of months more say, that we need to try to find a replacement at that strong safety spot to get Eddie Jackson back to his normal position as a free safety. So bringing a guy like Brian Cook that is versatile, right, has the ability to play that strong safety spot will be huge for Eddie Jackson. Cook is a terrific downhill player that flashes the ability to stay leveraged in coverage. He is also an outstanding tackler. He doesn't miss a lot of tackles, which is a huge trait in order to be a really good, strong safety. So obviously getting a guy like this in round 3, pick number 99, he's still going to be a top 100 player. I feel like he would contribute right away to the Chicago Bears defense. And once again, it will allow Eddie Jackson to go back to that free safety spot. So now we're moving into round 4. Obviously, we added that round 4 pick by trading back in the second round. So in round 4, pick 134, I have the Chicago Bears taking another cornerback in Zion McCollum out of Sam Houston State. This is another huge guy. He stands at 6'4", 195 pounds. So he is tall, long, and fast, and was one of the most productive ball hawks in the FCS last season. You know, his size sets him apart, and also he possesses a combination of football intelligence to read the game and athletic ability to react to the plays that he makes. So he plays the run really well and is willing to tackle the plays with aggression. So he's not afraid to, do man-on-man press or come up and make a big hit when need be. And obviously, when you look at his size at 6'4", that is a very intriguing prospect. And once again, going back to the other cornerback that I selected in my mock draft 3.0, you need to bring in more competition in this cornerback room for the Chicago Bears, because as it stands right now, we sure do need it. So now we're moving on to round 5. So round 5, pick 148, I have the Chicago Bears selecting tackle Zach Tom out of Wake Forest. Obviously, offensive line is something that Ryan Poles needs to stress. Obviously, he's been stressing it in free agency, but when you get to the NFL draft, we need to stress it some more. Obviously, the main concern here is being able to protect Justin Fields. Giving him time to throw the football should be Ryan Poles' main concern. So tackle Zach Tom out of Wake Forest. He stands at 6'5", 295 pounds. Tom is a player with a high football IQ and a polished technician with a great deal of experience, not only at center, but at left tackle. So obviously you bring in a guy like this. I'm not saying that he's going to be an instant starter, but obviously when you look at the offensive line, you also need to bring in good depth pieces, and that's what Zach Tom would bring to the Chicago Bears offensive line. Overall, his ability to play both center and left tackle will make him an intriguing prospect for any NFL team. So obviously, we were able to get him in round 5. I would be absolutely ecstatic for the Chicago Bears. So before my next round 5 pick, I have the Bears trading back once again to add another pick. So obviously, I give the Chargers round 5 pick 150, and we receive their pick round 5 160, and their round 6 pick and 195. Obviously, just trying to pile on the picks now in order to bring in the most players as possible to help this Chicago Bears roster. So in round 5, pick 160, I have the Chicago Bears selecting wide receiver Kevin Austin Jr. out of Notre Dame. He stands at 6'2", 215 pounds. And Austin is just the overall supreme athletic talent with elite upside that is visible on tape when you watch his Notre Dame tape. Austin is an explosive athlete with great burst, and he just plays with so much explosiveness. His ability to rack up yards after the catch, to me, is what is truly impressive. Obviously, when you look at the wide receiver room, yes, we added Byron Pringle. Yes, we're able to get Christian Watson. That's a guy that stands at 6'5", but having a guy that can get open, he plays at one speed, and the yards after the catch, I think he would bring a different dynamic to the Chicago Bears wide receiver room and just bring the extra competition that we definitely need at the wide receiver position. So moving on to round 6 now, which we have 2 round 6 picks now, which it's huge because you could still find quality talent in those later rounds. So with my first round 6 pick 186, I have the Chicago Bears selecting defensive lineman DJ Dell out of Alabama. He stands at 6'3", 300 pounds. Dell is a very strong tackler with a good power in hands and can anchor, shed, and chase. He provides some secondary interior pass rush, getting most of his penetration while playing that 3 technique spot. Obviously, we did address the defensive line a little bit in free agency, but adding more guys, maybe as depth, maybe he can come in and compete for that starting job as well. But adding more 3 technique defensive linemen is very crucial in order to run an effective 4-3 defense. Dell rarely goes to the ground, which is another good thing about him, as he plays with good balance from his wrestling days. So just having a guy that's athletic like that, especially at the defensive line position, will help him in the NFL and will definitely help him as a 3 technique defensive lineman for any 4-3 defense. So with the Chicago Bears final pick, round 6, pick 195, I have the Chicago Bears selecting yet another receiver in Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor. He stands at 6'3", 182 pounds. Thornton showcases electric speed and can seemingly run past any defender. And I truly feel at this spot, if Thornton is still there, I think this is an absolute steal. This is a guy that when he gets to the NFL, he's going to be a big play waiting to happen. And you can see the theme that I'm bringing to the Chicago Bears, right? And this is what Ryan Poles wants to do as well. He's trying to create an athletic, explosive, fast, nasty football team. And Tyquan Thornton brings exactly that. He's fast, he's explosive, and I think his skills and what he was able to do at Baylor will translate well to the NFL. And once again, the more receivers to bring into this wide receiver room for the Chicago Bears, the better. And like I say, if you bring all these weapons for Justin Fields, you address the offensive line, I have no doubt in my mind that Justin Fields will be able to take the next step in his NFL career. So that completes my Chicago Bears mock draft 3.0. Let's go over the picks one more time before I end this video. With my first pick, I have Bears selecting Christian Watson, tackle Abraham Lucas, then in cornerback Martin Emerson in round 3, JoJo Doman, linebacker. Safety Brian Cook, also in round 3. And round 4, cornerback Zion McCollum. Then in round 5, we have tackle Zach Tom. Round 5, wide receiver Kevin Austin Jr. And then in both of my round 6 picks, I have the Chicago Bears selecting defensive lineman DJ Dale and wide receiver Tyquan Thornton. Obviously, my main goal in this mock draft is to trade back, pile on the picks, and get players that can come in and contribute right away for the Chicago Bears. And I feel like I completed that in this Chicago Bears mock draft 3.0. So like always, comment down below in the comment section and let me know how I did. And if you were in Ryan Poles' shoes, what would you do in this upcoming NFL draft? Would you trade up? Would you trade back? Would you stay put? Who would you draft? Let me know down below in the comment section. But before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. And make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, I'll be back for an all new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.